Welcome back to My Face. My name is Brianna. I'm the head honcho here at Bamby Media. Today I'm going to be running you through the settings for the Rpde PodMic USB. I'm holding it right now so that you can see what you might need to change or what you can change within the actual microphone itself. Rpde has DSP processing, which you're able to access by using a few different software options. Today I'm going to show you how to set it up using the Rpde Unify software. You can also use Rpde Connect or Rpde Central to access the same settings, the back end or the inside of the microphone. This is something that you would definitely look at using if you're using the USB input for this microphone. It allows you to change a few things that mean that it can sound more like what you want it to sound like without you having to have a lot of post-processing, meaning that once you're getting ready to edit the podcast or something that you've done with the microphone, it already kind of sounds like you want it to sound, so it would mean that you don't have to change much. It also is very helpful for a live streaming setting, right? So that you could make it sound like you want it to sound and then hit live stream and it's not going to need extra stuff or it won't not sound good. The other good thing about it is that if you change settings for this microphone using the USB and the software, let's say you then unplug it and then you plug it into your phone, the DSP settings will still be set based on what you set up on the software itself. I'm going to let us dive straight into it. I really want you to have your headphones on for this so that you can absolutely hear the differences in the sounds as I turn things off and on, especially for when I'm working with the aural exciter and also the noise gate settings within that as well. So let me know what you think. If you like this kind of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, did you like the DSP setting changes or do you like it more fresh? Do you like it straight out of the box? Would love to know. Okay, so now we are within the Rpde Unify software and go to Rpde PodMic and just click on it. From here, you'll be able to start changing some settings. So by default, I believe everything's kind of on, but we're going to start playing with some things to turn them off and on and so that you can hear the differences. So we've got a compressor set and it's active. Now, the compressor is essentially, it'll bring the loud sounds down and the soft sounds up to try and normalize kind of what's in the middle. So if you've got someone that laughs a lot on your podcast or you laugh a lot or you talk really loud and then you talk soft, there's lots of dynamic range, then a compressor can be really helpful in order to kind of save that without having to do it in post-production. You can apply it on the microphone itself, which is kind of groovy to be able to do that. The settings that it's got here at the threshold and the ratio and those sorts of things are quite good. It just depends again on your dynamic range. So if I give you the example of me singing, let's say, and I will sing as loud as I can so that you can hear what the issue is and what the compressor does. So here we go. Come with me and you'll see la da la da 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 da. Okay, so it's handled that quite well. It still was a little bit like hard in that very top end there, in that very top note. If I do the same thing now and I turn off the compressor, come with me and you'll see la da la. Right, so it's really hit it hard there and you can see there's a little red, it goes into the red zone, which is bad. Yeah, so you want that compressor on, especially if you're dealing with someone who has a big dynamic range. The other thing you would do with if you were singing is you don't keep the microphone right here close to you. You would bring it out and away and use microphone technique to negate a little bit of that need for compression because you're kind of doing it yourself. If you were singing into it, I might consider putting that threshold down around 13, minus 13, the ratio 3:1. But what they have there for vocals is, like for actual talking, is not too bad. Okay, so if we go to the exciter, this is like the Aphex processors, it's the fancy Rpde stuff. When this is on, it's kind of giving you a little bit of extra pizzazz. Now I'm in the advanced mode, let me just make that clear. If we go off advanced, then this is what it will be like. And all the settings that you'll have to play with here are just kind of a bit of depth stuff. It doesn't give you a lot of sort of differences there. It can introduce more sparkle, which to me brings in more S sounds, and I don't particularly like that. And it can give it more punch as well, so you can hear that that's kind of hitting it a little bit hard and turning it off. If you don't know much, you can play with those sort of settings in itself and be okay with that. But for me, I want to go further and actually play with things a little bit more. So we've got our compressor set. Now we're into the exciter. Now, if we turn off the exciter, I want you to kind of hear the difference. So this is me talking into the microphone. 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 I don't like the big bottom. I have a decent sized bottom just in life. I feel like it gives it too much that bottom end, that muddiness, the big bottom end. And to me, I don't like that, especially if you are planning on people listening to you in a car. I don't know if you've ever had the problem where if you're driving along in the car, especially on a freeway, just the sound of a freeway, the actual tires on the freeway, is a similar sort of frequency. And so you have a problem there because you've got this big bottom end and it can be hard to actually hear the person on the podcast because you're trying to play in the sort of same frequency zone. So I like to have more top end to kind of give you that range so that you don't have those issues. If you introduce too much bottom, then I feel like it gives it a bit too much of that down there, kind of like the Shure SM7B does. It loves that as a default. It's more muffly, it's more bottom end, and I don't like it for myself. So you can just decide that for yourself, but I'm going to turn that off for me. The aural exciter here, if we turn that, it's kind of giving it that sparkle effect. So if we turn that off, this is me talking into the microphone. See how it does sound a bit flatter? And then if we introduce it, it also introduces a little bit more noise. And off. Yeah. I don't mind that on, but I would probably have to change those frequencies in post-production to kind of get rid of a little bit of that. All right, so the noise gate is the next thing. So the noise gate can be really effective at reducing noise. So if you have an environment that you can't control all that well, let's say you have an air conditioner that needs to be on or a fan. I mean, I'm just so hot right now because it is summer here in Australia. I've got lights on me and I turned my fan off, and all you can really probably hear is the sound of my computer fan working hard because it's hot in here and I don't have any windows open or anything either. So see what you can hear. All right, so this is with it off. Now, can you hear that there is no longer that sort of, it's pretty flat, the sound. So I'm going to turn it off again now. This is with it off. So you get a bit more of that background reflection. You have a few more of those kind of sounds. And then if your room was actually noisier, and that's what I'll do next, I'll bring a fan in so that you can hear. When there is a noise gate, it tries to get rid of like the fan noise or the background noise, but it still introduces a little bit of it on the ends of your sentences. All right, so now we have a fan in the room. And can you hear that? So the noise gate is on. The noise gate is on. But when I speak, I can hear a little bit of the fan noise within the vocal realm. So it's not perfect, but it is absolutely something that you could do to control the noise, knowing that you might need to change a little bit of those EQ settings on the back end in post-production to give it some kind of warmth back, to give it some life back, give it a little bit more of that personality back. If I turn it off now, you're going to hear that it is definitely much louder without it. Okay, so the bass line is a lot louder. And you can even see that just in the green here on the actual sound level. So if I stop talking, you got all those sounds that you can hear, yeah? Remember through your headphones what I sound like now versus now. So how do I sound to you? Now there's also a plane going overhead. How do I sound? Does this sound good? Does this sound better? Do you like this? Is the noise gate effective from your point of view? I really like that they are these settings that you can change within the microphone's kind of inner body. You know, it's all in there as well, which is great. You've got the exciter. You can make it active or inactive. Play with the big bottom. See see if you, why is bottom such a fun, it's just such a fun word. Play with that, depending on the kind of sound that you want to create, knowing where you are potentially going to be having people listen to you. You might want to have it on or off. And then the noise gate, play with that on and off. Is your environment okay without it? Or does it feel like it would really be benefited by having it on? And as much as possible, try and create an environment where you're recording. That means that you don't have to try and make all these things like use a noise gate, make it as quiet as possible. But I know that if you're at home or you're, somewhere that you can't control as much, these kind of things are really good. And it's also really good to be able to do it right now, so that if you are live streaming or, you don't want to do any post-production, you've made a bunch of changes to the microphone right now, which means that it's ready to go. Like, it's as good as you can get it without you having to do much else. Hopefully you found that information really helpful. There's my fan there in the background. I don't know if you can see it, but that's what it is. And if you like this kind of thing, please hit the like and subscribe button. Put in the comments, what did you like? What effects did you like? Will you be using this microphone? Really good to see. If you want a more solid review as to how this microphone actually sounds up against a couple of other microphones, I have some other reviews on this mic, both in the USB and XLR format, as it does have both. So check that out and subscribe to the channel for more info like this and anything else podcast related as well. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.